me practicing slide guitar.
Devil in the radio now, devil in your radio list. I've got this station for you, I know you'd love to hear this. Devil in the radio now, devil in your radio list. Oh, some terrible moon, their lies with lashes into. It may sting, but burns alive. See now
My name is Scott Homiak, and I knew Shane through a few mutual friends.
I'm Vince. The band that I was in with Shane had multiple names. Shane Gooding and the Fancy Feast was one. Shane Gooding and the Pants was another one. We just used to get like really baked and fire off ridiculous names and make each other laugh.
My name's Kevin Seaman. I am a video editor, and I don't know Shane.
I was working in a record store. I would play Pay Driver for Hire over the speakers, and patrons would really respond well. Every time I put the album on. The idea stayed with me that there was a market of sorts out there that, you know, would really get into this music that Shane had left.
Our goal is to take Shane's final record that he made. We're going to take it across country, and we are going to put it in record stores.
Comparison. Let's go. Lightning speed. Lightning speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, check 2, and the people here are looking at us like we're not.
No, he was just determined, absolutely determined to conquer every musical instrument he tried.
He did the guitar, little piano, saxophone, and slide guitar. Yeah, harmonica too.
Violin, he tried mandolin.
Everybody sing to see when you out with me. I can't remember the words.
His acquisition of musical skills was just on this curve that was like shooting straight up.
Shane and I, we went to school throughout the years, but we never had classes together or anything like that. I went to his house to see this the show. Kind of walked into it thinking like you know, he was kind of gonna be a dick. There's this kind of preconceived notion of punk bands are like this cocky, kind of like arrogant, kind of doing what they want to do kind of thing. And he was playing drums in this band. I met him, and he was like the nicest guy.
Shane and I, we were like two ships passing through the night for years. I knew of him. I think he knew of me. But in junior year, we had an English class together, and he ended up sitting right behind me. And towards the end of the year, I'll never forget, he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You listen to jazz, right?" And I wasn't quite sure how he knew that because I had been overdosing on jazz since high school and didn't really go around broadcasting that stuff. So my close friends knew that I was obsessed with Louis Armstrong and Count Basie and all this stuff. But I didn't really know how he knew it, but then he told me that he had just picked up an alto saxophone and was listening to nothing but Charlie Parker. What did I think of Charlie Parker? The jam sessions were horrible. Neighbors who lived across the street from my parents' house still talk about how awful the music was.
We used to play Christmas shows here, and I used to get up there and I used to sing "Christmas Time Is Here" from Charlie Brown Christmas. I used to sing it in a falsetto like the children did. Shane insisted that he sung it with me. I'm like, sure. So we went up there and we were playing, and there was barely anybody here. So we were singing it, and it also marks the lowest point of my musical career, where I think it was like a 10-year-old kid who was sitting in the front at a table, said, "Shut up." We never played a show where it was like, "Oh man, that was great, you were great," you know? It was 100 every time. It was the worst show like ever.
Yes.
on a cross-country tour.
Before I really knew him, he lived in my dorm my freshman year on the first floor, and I'd always have to walk past him, and he was in like his super punk mode then. So, you know, he was wearing like really short pants and suspenders and Chuck Taylors.
And then it was the ska and the skinhead type of music thing with the Doc Martens and the suspenders, the pants rolled up and all that. And in the beginning he was into like punk rock, everything was punk. The straight edge, wearing the X's on the hand and going to school with the X's on the hand. Yeah, he went through a little bit of everything, yeah.
And he'd always be sitting in this one seat every time, you know, you like passed to go out the door, and he'd always be like sitting there like scribbling down whatever. Through mutual friends, we became friends. I'm sure he didn't remember me. There were like a million people who walked past him every day, but like I just knew him.
He would just get way better really fast because he just worked at it all the time.
I guess if we gather, 3 I'm waiting at the curving edges getting flowers.
So I grew up on Long Beach Island. There's no one to play music with. I had no outlet for it. I was hungry for it. I met Shane at OCC through Ricky Riccardi's jazz orchestra. I met Ricky in the class, and he found out I played bass, so he asked me to come jam with the band.
When you dark, girlie, now I'm begging you, please come down, clouded.
The band I had with Jay Judovan, Johnny No-No, Shane, that was my college band. That's the band I played with. The band originally was 8mm Superstar.
So it was an amateur porn called 8mm Superstars. I never saw the original porn, but I'm sure it was great. Then we changed our name to Analog Behavior.
Hi, this is the bar mitzvah song. Yeah, that's right. Tina, it's your 16th birthday party. Start fucking dancing. Dance party time. This goes out to the girl with the fake hair. We're on the bipolar, man. Yes, my friends, it's Friday and sucked. It was a boring day indeed until she came. See, I'm rocking my memory just to see what she tells me, but she's not here. It's Friday the same.
I can tell you we missed a lot of class playing music. I can tell you that we skipped going to a particular loud party or maybe a night of bar hopping to get to work, you know, in a sweaty, dank basement, but to get to work and write songs. When I reminisce, that's really where my mind takes me, to the basements. Not so much
more
the shows.
so than the gigs,
right?
Yeah. It was your typical like Jersey basement, you know, like if you are over 6'5", like
you couldn't be in the bed.
Yeah, you needed a couple fucking stitches after. There was like an upright bass down there, I remember, and like you had to angle the upright bass so it didn't hit the fucking ceiling. There were Christmas lights lining the beams, and the concrete just sucked the sound out of it. So like you couldn't get a great sound, but everybody just turned it up. And we spent a lot of time like perfecting parts. We just wanted to play it perfectly. Shane dropped out of college pretty young. He was crashing on people's couches. He didn't really hold like steady jobs or anything. But it's so bizarre that even though he was like a fuck up in that regard, he was one of the most focused and dedicated and hardworking people, to the point where you're like, dude, put down the fucking guitar and hang out.
He was unabashed on the stage. He brought, you know, a Sly and the Family Stone type of bravado.
great singer. If he could like crack his notes in the way that like Hank Williams or Otis Redding can crack, and he had it.
You know, he had a lot of soul in his voice. He just laid it all out there right into the mic. Microphone probably covered with spit by the time it's all done.
Shane told me his favorite singer was the clear as day Nat King Cole. But he told me this one night during the informal record listening sessions that followed our attic rehearsals for a band in which he never sounded remotely like Nat, playing the music that Shane on many occasions framed as his only escape to tomorrow was a happy light in a miserable time for all involved. Shane and the rest of us stuck in a college town. No one had any reason to stick around. Nobody building a future, and, uncoincidentally, nothing to say to girls.
Shane was, he just stopped working and then started, like, couch surfing, basically. But he was just, like, the kind of dude, for whatever reason, nobody really minded too much, and just crashing at their house for free. I played guitar in sort of this, like, backing band for a little bit in Brunswick.
Hi, rock and roll fans.
His label referred to us as the Face Melters, one of the many temporary monikers we went by, including Waterproof Dinosaurs, Black History Month, The Fancy Feast, an obscure reference to Richard Manuel, Degro Cook and the Big Dak, Star Tropics, Cops on Ice, and a long title that ended with My Hot 12-Year-Old Son. Before setting at press time on Shane Gooding and the Pants.
We were trying to, like, record a record with this, like, shitty recording equipment. Really didn't end up sounding that good, but the songs were really good, and it was fun to play. But it's just funny thinking back on it, like, how much time and energy we devoted to that. Now, where I'm at in my life, like, I don't have time for that shit. Like, my, like, homeless friend being like, hey, do you want to play full-time in my band and fucking record a record in a 105-degree attic? He just had this, like, massive talent and was trying to figure out how to get it out there.
Blues, but how do you want to shuffle? Quite quick or?
Alright, so Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman, okay. I'm drawing a blank on Bill Pullman. Here's what I got, though.
Not Spaceballs.
While you were sleeping.
I don't even know who's in that movie.
Really?
I got a letter on that one, I don't know.
Alright.
No, that's not.
That's coming back to me. Alright, so Sandy Bullock.
Fucking love
You guys are so down on Sandra Bullock.
She sucks, man.
You suck. Did you ever see Speed?
When I got the call that he was moving to California, I just remember the most crushing feeling.
He's finally able to, like, live somewhere nice, rent-free, and get hooked up with a job and still do his thing. So that's what I viewed California as, was like almost a thing out of necessity. Like, you don't fucking go out to LA to, like, make it as a musician. I mean, shit, you make it as music comes from all over the place. It's not Hollywood. It wasn't going out there to, like, silver screen.
The first time I saw Shane, one day the boss said, hey, there's a guy who's going to come in. I don't know, I got a call from his grandma, but supposedly he can play, so I want to make sure he gets on, so take care of him. Okay. So who shows up but this kid, obviously looking super East Coast. He's got this corduroy jacket on, you know. He just looked like he just walked out of Boston or the East Village or something, right? And he had his guitar.
For the late night people that really want to stay doing some music, I really appreciate that. I'm gonna move this mic like all the way up here because I probably need some room.
Oh my God. Like, I've been a musician for 40 years, right? And oh my God.
someone I knew who played drums for him said, "You gotta hear this guy Shane. You go see him play at this open mic." And I introduced myself, and he said, "Oh, very nice to meet you." He stood up and shook my hand. He was always very courteous. And I remember him coming over to my apartment for a party, and he played music. And he said he felt like, well, if he was playing music, that he kind of excused him from the norms of behavior.
I met Shane down by the beach. He was just playing the guitar by himself. He had a real, just old school look to him, you know, and he was just really digging into that guitar, and it was just really soulful music. He came right in here and made the place like shine, you know, like he actually gave it that roots blues that it needed.
I broke up with my boyfriend. Like a few days later, I called him. I just said, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "So my boyfriend and I broke up." And then we went to dinner that night, and we basically started dating.
Every show is different. I think that was a great thing. You want a live show, he gave you a live show. I met him at an open mic, and then he played, and it was done. He progressed in music differently because he wanted to be a master at his instrument.
Shane could be seen almost nightly at my kitchen table writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and that was his way. It wasn't enough to write a song. The intensity and the insistence on artistic perfection, the culture in his art was far more focused than so many musicians on the West Coast.
Let that earth pile high.
He held himself to a really high standard. He had some rules that I really appreciated, like don't ever hang your guitar on the wall. He thought, you know, it shouldn't be in the case and it shouldn't be on the wall. It should be next to your bed. It should be leaning on the, you know, against the couch, because then you're going to pick it up and play. If you're really playing your guitar, it's not going to be up on the wall like a photograph or something.
One time he told me he had a dream that he was an old man playing the blues, you know, in like the 1890s or something. And it was so clear to me. Like I was like, yeah, obviously you're just channeling this spirit that was probably doing that music. There's no other way that it can sound so original and so authentic. You know, when we were around him, it was always like knowing one authentic, pure artist.
I'm not mistaken, Shane played everything. You know, he played it all. What a jerk. Because he did it all great, you know? But one day after that, Shane came to the house and was like, "God man, my tongue hurts." And stupid me, you know, I was like, oh man, you bit yourself in the night, or you got an infected taste bud or something, you know. No, man, it's something different.
He discovered his tumor around December of 2005. He had his surgery in, I want to say, August of 2006. Although it was major surgery, probably 6 weeks after the surgery, he was able to speak again. He was able to sing.
Before it all went all full blown, I think, he started working on the CD.
He knew he, had a problem, but he was also determined to get the album finished.
Hey, driver for hire, I sail a street infused with sight.
So he recorded Paid Driver at Black Lodge Studios, which I don't think exists anymore, but Derek Rasmussen.
Well, I'm doing a sound check now, and I hope that it is okay.
It was one of the best recording experiences I've had. Done a lot of bands where you're kind of doing it for the paycheck, and once in a while something comes along where paycheck does not matter at all. It's so special to be there when it's going down. I feel very, very fortunate that I was able to be part of it. He knew exactly what he wanted, and it was very particular.
It was a supremely professional session, with Shane doting over every friggin' note.
So there's that.
Just
It's
the
not- it's
last,
not
the
upbeat.
very last one.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only time you do that.
Shane's ballpark. You do what you're told.
I was the doo-wop girl, as he said it at one point, the queen of harmonies. Played a box, which makes an awesome, just organic, authentic sound, as you could probably listen to at some point.
Your mama get you whiskey bound, bring her on over to me.
So this is the guitar one of the many instruments he purchased when we were dating. This is a 3/4, no wait, this is a Baby Martin. I played a teeny little guitar. I think it was like maybe this size or even smaller. It was a Baby Dean. And it was really little, and he said, the sound quality's not too good. This was sort of his solution for that, was something better quality, this size. And I think the strap is like for a fiddle or something. There's the guitar. The Baby Martin.
Tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's the 28th. Tomorrow's the last day of super short February. And what are we doing? Going to March? Record will be done by then for shows. I have one more day to be here, and then I mix, and then we're cool. Yeah. I mean, what else do you want?
Where are you going to be by April 2007?
April 2007. Probably be somewhere in the middle of Germany.
Thank you very much.
There ain't no interview, there's no point of view. You go to sleep, you stay slide. Downtrodden shoes, we step on the news and keep yourself dry. Sit through your trial, sit still for miles, stand all your mates. Pack up your smile, please live a while. Pills for your day, though I'm trying to arrive at some place I derive to be so real. How do you feel?
This is Mr. Homiak's idea of a convenient, streamlined, efficient packing trip.
You could have had a bigger Chinese acrobat in there.
That's true. We're gonna consolidate a little.
To, what happened? What happened?
Some nice skunky beer for later.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything fragile in here?
Just our egos.
It comes up to your goddamn waist. Yeah, that's about what you need to have.
I brought everything on this trip except common sense.
This guy brought fucking 4 pairs of shoes with him.
But check this out. I'm gonna throw these out.
Hey Scott, did you bring a black t-shirt?
A few, if you need an extra one. I also brought this red polo. What? I don't know. Looks good.
Are we gonna golf?
I might lie on the beach. Nobody in California wants me to take my shirt off. Like, there's a bear loose on the sand. I feel more sensible already.
Inside your other suitcase. Zip it up. That's exactly.
That is how you travel across the country, folks.
Scott Homiak.
In comfort, convenience, and class.
Convenience?
Convenient for me!
Now Mary came down from her height too hard. She broke half her knees, as pleased with issue forth from her top. And my, you know I heard her once say, she said, I only like it one way. And I said, oh, I see you only like it one way. I may have a problem for you, 'cause everything that you never wanted will be upon you.
I'm Chip Heisler. I'm one of the owners of Tunes. We have a chain of 5 stores in New Jersey and 1 in Baltimore, Maryland. When I started, it was a dream to own, my own record store. We have people that literally come in 5 days a week. In the record store, you find like-minded people, the staff, and other customers who share that passion for music. Early on, we fully embraced the used marketplace. It's that treasure hunt. It's that, that flea market, that antiquing, where you're looking for that thing you just didn't expect to find.
Now Mary's got this halo and an out of tune heart. She kept off of keys, for these could lock the tips to her tongue. And my, I heard her once say, she said, oh no, I only like it one way. And I said, oh, okay, you only like it.
I'm told that in Chicago, you can get the McGangbang off of, the dollar menu. You just get a double cheeseburger and you get the McChicken sandwich. And apparently in Chicago, you can order it by name. But what you do, regardless of the city, is you take the double cheeseburger, you split it right down the middle, and you put the whole bun and all McChicken sandwich in the middle of this cheeseburger, which is now just enormous and disgusting and full of carbs and just will, kill a fragile man on the spot, I'm sure. And you just devour it, and it's fucking amazing.
I'll fucking devour you.
Right after I graduated college, my boyfriend at the time, who was from Texas, moved to San Diego. After he left, I was really sad and mopey and just really ridiculous. And we were out at the Ale and Witch one night, and I was being sad and mopey and sitting at the bar I miss my boyfriend. And Shane was there, and we were talking, and he, he just kind of moved down to the end of the bar and started scribbling on whatever paper he could find, which I guess was this barbecue festival postcard. And so he wrote, she was in love with a Texan man, a Catholic name that came imported from France, though I sincerely doubt she'd ever been there before.
She was in love with a Texan man, a Catholic name that came imported from France, though I sincerely doubt she'd ever been there before.
I had been to France, yeah. He didn't know that, but it sounded good.
You sullen soldier, do you understand that when you're taking it that far back, you take that so far behind? Was your last one your right? Was your last one your right? I said you bet.
I'll never forget that night because I mean, he made me feel like, not silly, but he made me feel like, okay, this isn't such a big deal. Come on, like, you know, here are these words, now get over it, it's not so bad.
So, where are we?
Portage, Indiana.
Portage, Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
We drove through Pennsylvania, Ohio. Takes me back to when I used to play in bands. I felt like I was in the van at 21 years old again.
Tomorrow we're in Chicago.
Tomorrow's when we hand out records.
Tomorrow we give some shit away. We get Shane's name out there. I do think we're off to a good start.
Seems so soothing, defeat keeps you moving, and though I never meant to stay cool, oh Lord, stay you, baby, that's no.
My name is Dave McCune, store manager here at Permanent Records. Yeah, started as a regular, feeding the addiction. They just had the most killer stuff, new and used, around town, and got to know them, became their friends. How has this store kept pace? A combination of having a well-manicured shop, being involved. Big thing with this shop is there's a sense of community. It's a grassroots sort of thing.
Hi, my name is Bill Rowe, and the clerk here at Permanent Records. I started off as a customer. It was a nice atmosphere and a nice change from the sort of cliched atmosphere of, you know, the stodgy, snobby record store clerks. Right before I worked here, I worked in the t-shirt screen printing industry. I owned a shop myself, running a business that caters to like the music industry or independent musicians and things like that. Plays a part in the same way that a record store does. You're both sort of offering up either a service or an outlet for bands and labels to get their name out there, promote themselves, and get people to hear about them, whether it be, you know, their name emblazoned on a t-shirt or their record in the bins.
My name's Kit McCabe. I'm the manager of Reckless Records located at 3126 North Broadway in Chicago. I've been playing bands ever since I was like 13 or 14 years old. That was about my involvement in the music industry before working at Reckless Records. I started here after I graduated college. And I find that music, in particular the local music store, to be kind of a cultural outpost of ideas and people with like-minded interests. I love the idea of coming to work every day and supporting the people who come here to work and the people who come here to shop. To me, it seems like the loss of the record store is such a sad thing. Virgin and Tower went under, and I don't think for us we thought that was a positive thing at all. Borders, what used to be right up the street, went under a couple years ago. A lot of that music comes back to us and gets into the hands of people who get it secondhand, and that's primarily one of the major things we do is we recycle music, keep it out of landfills, we keep it in people's, you know, libraries.
It's last call for your freedom cheer. My smile reads like ambulance without the aid of rearview mirrors. Reflect, please, on the things here said. The truth is found between the lines, and speakers do their best to hide. Devil in the radio now, devil in your radio list. I've got this station for you, and now you love to hear this. Devil in the radio now, devil.
So really the last time I saw him was 2004. I went to dinner with my future wife in New Brunswick, and he was a waiter, and we kind of, yeah, he came around, he saw me first, and he just hugged me. And even though we hadn't talked for a while before that, I kind of liked that as my last memory of him in the flesh. I didn't want to see him suffering. It's been 5 years, and I still have dreams about him. I still think about him all the time. I mean, this is a guy that we made music for 1.5 years together, maybe 2 years tops. But more than the music, which was good, You know, for the time it was good, but it was just the spirit, his absolute spirit, knowing that, hey, I got a gig with Shane tonight, we're gonna laugh tonight.
Like, he had some weird deal where he was living in this like hallway in a basement of someone's house. It totally wasn't legit at all, but he had like a little cot there with a big Bob Dylan poster. I crashed drunkenly on his cot and woke up to like see in front of the 1966 Bob Dylan poster with the hair, just this like other hair there, and I was like, oh, sorry dude, slept on your your fucking weird cot. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, it's fine.
Shane was a courier when he moved out to California. So apparently Shane went to the set of some Eddie Murphy movie that was in production at the time and had to drop off a package. While on the set, he ran into Eddie Murphy's brother Charlie, and Charlie Murphy comes up to him and says, have you got any kids? And Shane said, no, I don't have any kids. And Charlie Murphy said to him, you should.
I feel like an actuary counting prison numbers. Your dead please like a purple heart. Onto a canvas, a closet hanging on a metal.
I miss my friend as my friend. He definitely was struck down prematurely. Shane, you know, Shane's lyrics, I think more so than I had ever realized in the past, definitely had like a preoccupation with mortality. I mean, the act of recording music in itself is you know, a motion toward posterity.
People who were fans of Shane are passionate about music because it's very passionate music. When you listen to somebody pouring their heart out in that way and being so vulnerable in their music, I think you get passionate about it and as a listener, and you embrace it. And I could see in independent record stores, you know, gaining the appreciation of people in that scene where they're playing it over the loudspeaker, and you could be digging through records and you could hear Shane's music and shit, what is this? You know, I'm digging this.
Hi, I'm Mike Fradd. I'm general manager of Homer's Records in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, Omaha was a big jazz town. But as we headed into the 50s and 60s, roots music took hold here and has remained popular. Today, Omaha is well known as a very indie music town. I feel very, very confident about the next 10 years easily. While the amount of available new titles on CD may diminish, all that'll do is drive up the value of the used product. That, along with the fact that as the boomers retire, the collections that will come through the door to be sold to us as used, both on vinyl and on CD, will be significant and will fuel business for independent record stores for another 10 or 15 years.
Now, Lord knows I've headed west, but the pay ain't the best in this year. You are so bad, and so fly low.
Record stores for me were a huge part of the first half of my life. I would beg my parents to take me to the mall so I could buy cassette tapes and CDs.
You know, I'm not in the Knights of Columbus, I'm not an elk or anything, but the place that we had our clubhouse was the record store.
There's a certain comfort in them. You know, you go and you kind of lose yourself. There's almost a positive frustration when you go in and you've got in the back of your mind, you know, 24 different records that you hope to find, and then you just get lost in the racks. And, you know, more often than not, I would find myself leaving with something that I didn't even know about or was the last thing that I might have been thinking about. I always felt like a record store was just this place that held aspects of your own personality that you hadn't necessarily even put your finger to yet.
My name is Edward Comfort. I make the dead quiet bed. I work at your local graveyard, live all head by head. There ain't no type, no friend, lover.
My name is Robin Schaefer. I own a record store called Rock and Robins. Like rock and roll, rhythm and blues, S&M, whatever you're into, but not rock and chair. We're rock and roll. I started working in the record store when I was in college. I did that even after I graduated because I really enjoyed being involved in music. There were 2 other really important local record stores when I moved here, but they have both since closed. I've been in this industry for over 35 years now, and you could be the least talented, unable to sing or play your instrument go-go's and make $1 million. Or you could be Larry McRae and be absolutely mind-blowing and be mostly overlooked. This industry isn't fair. It's not like if you're good you make money, and if you're bad you don't. Unfortunately, my techniques as a record store to survive is to diversify into other things. I mean, my store is now a shop that caters a lot to the college-aged community. We sell body jewelry and hippie clothes and pipes and candles and, you know, a ton of other things. And that actually supports my habit now, because whereas music was 99.9% of what supported me in the beginning, now it's more like 10%.
Following Shane's diagnosis of squamous cell carcinoma, Shane had to undergo a surgery. He was forced to relearn how to speak and how to sing. Following the recording of the album, Shane had another surgery and he was never able to speak again.
When Shane was really sick, I went to visit him. I remember him being fed through a tube in his stomach, like a shake. The last time I saw him, it was right before I was leaving. I went to say goodbye and he was standing up and he was all hooked, like, you know, he couldn't speak anymore. So he was writing everything down. And I just remember hugging him, and he told me, he wrote down on the piece of paper, "I love you," and he like indented it into the paper and like underlined it a bunch of times. And I just remember like hugging him and turning around, walking out of the room. Right before I went downstairs, I looked back one more time, and that was the last time I ever saw him.
Mills Lane, who was the boxing referee, right? He became a judge at some point or something, had his own television show, Judge Mills Lane. It was like a Judge Judy kind of thing. And I remember watching with Shane, and some kid stole another kid's car during a party and then wrecked the car or something like that. And Judge Mills Lane brought him up to like the stand, and it's like a zooming close up on the guy's face. He's like, "If you ever stole my car and wrecked it," and he looked at him for like seconds. "I bust your skull, boy." And Shane fucking lost it. It was like the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life. Mills Lane had like this look on his face, his eyes were like wide open when he said it. There was a long-running inside joke between him and I that, "I bust your skull, boy." When I went to see Shane, I remember being warned he can't speak and he looks very skinny. I walked in the room and I saw him, and the first thing he did, he lit up his eyes like Mills Lane. And he wrote down, he was writing down on a piece of paper, the conviction in that man's eyes.
It was so beautiful to see him, like, I mean, like in the hospital, listening to jazz. Like, he wanted to absorb music as much as he could in his last weeks of his life. You know, he didn't want silence and to be in the, you know, be in the flowers. He wanted to keep putting music inside of his being.
When he wasn't well and giving away all his guitars and stuff, he said he had gotten it for us. I brought it with me to New York and to the Caribbean, and now it's back in California, and I feel like he's in this guitar.
There was the diner table mat, on which he illustrated our first show from the night before, with each member's defining contributions, and below my stick figure was the bracketed caption, "Asshole comments." Still, he didn't kick me out.
For, you know, growing up and listening to music and being in a band and creating music and coming of age with music, it's valuable to have that physical cultural place. You don't necessarily go in looking for anything. You go in to look at what's there, stuff you didn't know was there. You let kind of fate take control, and you get to sift through those records and find stuff you didn't even know existed. Take a chance on it. I'll take a gamble on it. It might be terrible. It might be one of the best things you've heard in a while. They come with the memory of going record digging with Shane.
Be the best looking one around. Love does he may lose it, but you see now foul. When you win, you lose. Now if you want, you can stay. Kind-hearted woman say, now who's your daddy? Is it half man and half him? You may be the best looking mom around. Love to see me lose it, but you see now we're foul. When you win, you lose.
We are in Tucson, Arizona. I'm Nick. I've been working at Toxic Ranch Records for about 3 months. I'm the new guy here. I've been going here and buying records since I was about 13. I'm 21 now, and I pretty much wanted to work here since I was like a freshman in high school. You know, I bought some records that completely changed the course of my musical development. Like I got Black Flag, Sonic Youth here, and some local bands like the Ticks. They were the first real like punk show I went to in Tucson. Until I saw the Ticks, really, I didn't really think there was much of a music scene here, and I went and saw them when I was like 14. We do carry more local music here than any other record store in town. As far as hardcore punk goes, we've got Man Bites Dog, we've got Territory. As far as like shoegaze goes, there's Ocean Void, there's Womb Tomb, and there's another band called Some of Them Are Old. As far as metal goes, you know, Casket Birth, Thorncaster, those are two very different kinds of metal, but they're both really solid bands. We used to have a lot more DIY venues. We had Scrappy's, Dry River, the Hang Art, the Living Room, and this other venue called the Shithole. Within 6 months, all of those venues were gone. There was like an apocalypse.
Heavy on the living, and my mama stole the shit. You know she's leaving me to be on my own. And now the river running higher, and my house catch fire. You know I have me lot luck where I always find every time seems to be the busted kind. Now I had a hard time with your mama. Now what is it you want me to do?
Shane would point out the most like subtle shit, like the hi-hat. Like, dude, listen to that hi-hat. And it's like, listen to the hi-hat. He had a great ear for the way to listen to music and the way to play music, and really focusing on the real beautiful details.
That's the thing. What was the most important thing, I think, to Shane then and Shane all the way through the end was, what does this song need to sound like? How do we cut to the point of this? Make it beautiful, make it something special. And, you know, in some ways, he didn't have to try for himself to do that. I think when he was working, it was to get other people to mold them into that perfection.
I kind of consider him almost a minstrel or a troubadour. His poetry was always flowing. He was always writing. While he was disengaged with the rest of the party, I'd always make a point to go over to him to say, hey, what's up? There are girls over here. But he would just nod and smile and just keep strumming. And that is what I remember best about Shane Gooding.
Music was Shane's best friend.
He had this crappy little car and we'd drive around and he'd play me music, and he would interrupt, like he'd be playing a Bob Marley song and he would interrupt and go, listen to that. Listen to how he's doing that thing. And all of the stuff that he pointed out about music, I now get really excited about and notice about music. But at the time, I remember being really frustrated.
She don't belong to me. She casts a spell on me, and now I seem to crave her laugh. And thou, you hold the sole control of what your soul is told. I only think what I feel, and as I reel the songs I sing, they don't do a thing. She don't belong to me. I heard her recipe, and now I'm bound to bake my brain. I'm running down the drain as I slip slowly into sleeping and say, your game I'll play, and songs I sing, they don't do.
Hello, my name is Frankie Delmain, and we are at Amoeba Music Hollywood. Once the store got to Hollywood and the enormity of it and the catalog of it and what they were able to bring in and what they were able to sell, it just instantly became a mecca. Us, Amoeba Music, and many local musicians and artists and stuff, I consider us part of the music business, which I think is different than the industry. The music business is something that invests in the community, something that's a part of the musicians around them, somebody that actually cares, you know, somebody that actually wants to give people a step up, you know, and the industry, they just want to find something to grab onto, sell, make money, spit out, next. You know, it's like an assembly line. Your local community of a 7 to 14 mile radius, you know, it's like, buy all your stuff there, invest in that, you know, come to Amoeba Music, go to Origami, go to Permanent, go to those record stores, you know. That's why I'm glad people like Best Buy don't do music much anymore, you know, because we don't need them to do that. You know, they sell TVs, you know, that was a lost leader for them in the first place anyways. We have a booklet, you know, we have that little pamphlet that lists all the stores in the area because we want to support all the independent businesses because it's part of being, you know, part of a larger community of people who are selling music. And I find that when I tell other people about places like that, they even come back more because, you know, we're not afraid to share that profit margin with other people. It's that loyalty. That's what they're coming for. They're coming for that service and that idea that, you know, we're here for more than just making money and more than just being, you know, a store to sell you something, you know.
Well, the Iceland women here while she's defending what you want to hear. My prerogative, dear, this a joke. Dressed like a jailhouse choking on smoke, and pisses a bloke at a pub. I'm drunk on drama, my lace me mama, pedals are gone near my home. Ain't nothing like the way the earthquakes roam. Now even when I'm nothing, I got my name. So don't you ever tell me that I can't complain.
The hardest I ever saw him laugh. We were again attempting to have a rehearsal that always ended up with us watching TV. And there was a show in the 70s called Superstars where they would take athletes and entertainers, obstacle courses and swimming and all that stuff. And we were watching an episode from 1973 where the boxer Joe Frazier had to swim. And he basically couldn't swim and he almost drowned in the pool. The camera backs up and you see little Joe Frazier in the back of this pool fighting for his life. Everybody else is a mile in front. Well, Shane saw that and literally stood up from my couch, bent over, and started jumping up and down, screaming, "Dude!" We recorded it and watched it back for like 4 straight hours. But I never saw a human being get up in the air and leap with laughter at Joe Frazier almost drowning in a pool. That was the height of comedy to Shane Gooding.
Like, he loved not being appreciated in a sense. I think he loved knowing that he was making music that wasn't ready for other people.
Are they getting paid for this? Yesterday they went up to New Brunswick. And they got paid like $1,000. For like
That sounds a lot different if you hear it on the tape.
I'm Lance Barisi and we're at Permanent Records. Eagle Rock is a really small, sleepy community on the edge of gentrified parts of LA, which is why we came here. We could see it coming this way and we're getting in before it's like, you know, out of control and we can't afford it. The whole thing about opening a second location for us was not to expand the business or like, you know, start a chain. It was because, listen, I didn't want to live in Chicago anymore. The winters are brutal and like we just couldn't handle it anymore personally. The worst part about the record industry, casual record buyers don't buy music anymore. Like the people who want the new Britney Spears, Beyonce, or her sister or whatever. What you're left with are like hardcore music lovers that want to own a physical copy of their favorite stuff. I like to say that it's camaraderie and we talk to each other as comrades. You worry in the back of your mind, all you can think of is like, this is already so hard. I'm working so many hours and working so hard for so little money that I can't fathom somebody else dipping into my pockets. I can't afford that. We all say we're on the same page and in the same boat and fighting for the same cause, but I think I don't want to look like the jerk here, but to be honest, it's not like we go out of our way to like send our customers someplace else. That's just stupid, you know?
Marilyn, don't fret, that's my job. I'll take any day that ends in hungry, say cold, say.
Trying to remember the song that he used to play at the Pike. He had a following of lesbians. Oh, here's a bunch of photos. They loved this one particular song, and they would get up and dance like crazy.
I'll forgive your bad spelling, that's fine. I'll write for both of us. My life comes in line by line. And every day, you know, the very next section. I don't mean to digress, I just don't talk so much.
from the hospital, like when he was asleep and stuff, that's in that book there. Even have the recipes that we could put pot in. Buzz nana bread. How to make pot butter. Pot butter. These were the ones, the burner brownies. Ooh. Shane said he was high for days because he ate like 3 or 4 of them. I don't know, I must.
Although he was ill, he remained positive and carefree as he talked about his music and future plans. We even went shopping at Tower Records, which has also since drifted into the mists of the great beyond. With both Gooding and Tower now gone, that day feels like some ghostly relic from long ago that now only exists in my memories, even though it was only 6 months ago.
He was really sick and everything. I think one of the times we were going to the doctors or whatever, and he got a phone call because somebody asked him to write some music for a movie. A little movie or whatever. So that was, at that point you really couldn't. So.
I know that you ain't gonna be here tomorrow when all is said and done. I'm the only one who's seen it all through my eyes.
But I remember that the constant, in his many forms as an artist, while I knew him, was a focus on bending expectations. And whether subversive or just playful, I have to expect that would have remained a defining part of his voice.
The jazz shall return in about 15 seconds. Thank you very much.
And then the song would end, and people would be cheering, and we'd be like, yeah, we just finished a good show, and we got him. And then Shane would scream, satisfaction! And what followed would be 25 seconds of the most ear-splitting nonsense. We were all in different keys, in different tempos. And just watching the audience go from, hey, these guys were great, to kind of just staring at us like, whoa, what is that? You would never hear anybody clap or anybody applaud, but you would hear the three of us start screaming with laughter.
He thought he didn't have any friends, and he always thought he didn't have friends, which I never understood. Even in New Jersey, he always thought he never had friends. He should have been at his memorial. There were so many friends there.
It is cat in here. My mama's not here, and she's mad at me, but this song's for her.
People want to collect things. They want a piece of, some people consider it a piece of art, something tangible, and that need's going to be there no matter how deep we dive into this digital world.
It's just so many things ebb and flow. It's a great environment to be in, just to kind of watch that happen.
For me, it's still about the music. I love that, that hair standing up on the back of your neck and getting goosebumps.
You can't really drill it down to like any one or two things. It's just something that connects with you, that sounds good, maybe has good melody, has great lyrics. You like the texture of the music.
I love that moment of, have you been reading my diary? Who are you?
When you are an independent artist, I've been playing music for a very, very long time, it's really hard to find people to help you sell your stuff. And that's where stores like Amoeba and all the other independent stores in the area do come in, because they help us as independent artists get in people's faces.
That was his philosophy, just get himself out there and, introduce the world to his music.
cry loud, just think of me. Keep your chin up, never down. I could have sworn to the age of 5 that ammonia was used for perfume, but she wasn't out on dates. She was making toilets out to mirrors and painting shine on to rich folks' dinner place. I miss my mama here and I miss the sea. So when the gulls cry loud, then think of me and we'll dance like the leaves do over the ground.
When we met the people who played music with Shane and knew Shane, and when we met the owners and proprietors of these record stores, there was a shared sense of this greater musicianship that sort of existed in the ether.
I'm sure that there is going to be people who hear it and maybe just not listen to it again or whatever. Maybe they'll pick it up down the road, but at the bare minimum, if there are copies and knowledge being spread around about him, and it even goes to just a few people, then my goal's been accomplished. I mean, if it goes to more people, then that's great. But if it doesn't, you know, it was worth it to me to go.
This is just something that seemed like a life experience that was worth having, and it was motivated by the simple idea that Shane had made all this great music, not even just Paid Driver for Hire, you know, a lot of great recordings. I mean, all I really wanted to do with this project was cover some ground that Shane didn't have the chance to cover himself.
Challenge you can find your mind. It's sleeping on the side of the road. And even if we asked him to leave, it's not a fault, and yes, I do agree. Sometimes it gets a little hard out here. You gotta keep it on. You ain't gonna win if you quit. So I say, I miss my mama here, and I miss the sea. But when gulls cry loud, do you think of me? Keep your chin up. Never down. Oh, sorry, mommy. Well, the emptiest pack of cigarettes I ever did see was staring still at your windowsill, and the moon peered in just to place a gaze upon your face. I kinda sorta called myself a mind piece. I proceeded to the pavement. How fancy my woodwork was when no one watched. While you needle top notch bed, keep an eye out for a better, less talk who's coming out of nothing to show. You see that in the morning time, now my eyes was all lined like the bottom of a leaf. After a gaucherie, I've got some glow. The liquor was streaming, my smile was beaming, yet it's hot as hell. It's hot as hell here for Halloween. And scripture servants keep begging me for laudanum. I say you choose truth or candy. So I turn right around, they say, get you down the block, you gotta go. No one wants to see what you've got to show. You hear that in the morning time. I reach for the sundial, my roommate keeps to sleeping. My mood does a dance quite like a weather vane. While I primp my pain, she's as happy as a puddle in the rain. And the thunder claps my ears again. I hit my sill, I spy upon the street. The city sidewalk, they got plenty of souls to eat. While the boys in blue are arresting effort on the corner now. They all know everybody's at home. You feel that in the morning time. Now the teacher was fixed like red upon a ruby, with a choir of cat calls for company. So I grabbed my coat, I proceeded over to the exit ramp. I cancel at the registrar now. The girl's handsome, the man, the pen and paper. My mind got muddy in moments. And when she asked for dinner, I said, let's get thinner. And besides, my wallet's got this weight problem. But I hope to see you by the morning time. So I took a slap in the road again. It took me on through this thoroughfare of don't you dares. And while the paper swindles, the free thought dwindles like the time at hand. Another dally-dalliance, and this imminent danger will infiltrate my nostrils. And the protesters prance along the promenade. I see some well-off scar and a man in collar blue takes a flag out, ties himself up blindfold, says, I know, I'll feel that in the morning time. Now from Fallujah to Fairfax, it's common to be crazy. At least that's what all the doctors say. And while my mama needs help, we are busy paying for this white hotel to have another shakedown. All your favorites from Hank to Menelaus, their minds got a washing that we didn't need. And do you really think that these clinking clowns that carve your credit cards really have a care for what's right or wrong? They don't. You'll see that in the morning time. Now as soon as the sea line swallows the sun, the sky tilts like a Harlem chrysanthemum. That's a gift oft given, like the visions driven from the minds of men. Long to write the world again. The pen just kissed my paper goodnight. The room is alight, I can't quite find a reason to stay. I really just need a fucking holiday. I'm always rambling as I roam. I'll see you in the morning time.